atheist thinking, I understand the universe. It's all atoms and bits, and all information can be encoded in megabits. That's not it.
Put my hands to the God and said, I need some fucking help. That next day, a dove landed on the hood of my truck. I live in the middle of nowhere.
These prayers were staggering me. Keep the thoughts and the thinking high, outside of fear.
A very faithful person.
What did Jung call it? Synchronicity? Have you ever had any weird stuff like that?
No, I never had a deep religious experience, honestly. A lot of people, they come to religion because they hear the voice of God or something, but nothing like that ever happened to me. For me, I always just had a disposition towards a belief in God. I think that we're created with a purpose, with a direction. I think that the world is imbued with meaning. It's intelligent. And to me, the biggest thing I've been on lately is, first and foremost, is I believe that we have souls. I think that's obvious. And I think that we have two natures. And when you consider that a human being, the human mind, is unlike anything else in the universe, the brain is more complex than anything that exists ever, period. You realize that we're fundamentally distinct from nature. And so it's like we have a body that is very similar to nature because it dies and it's made of carbon and things like, it's made of atoms. But we have will and intentionality and consciousness and mind, which are unlike anything else. And so to me, that proves you have a body, you have the flesh, but you also have the spirit and the soul. And once you kind of think about the natural and the supernatural, it's like that's where you kind of get cooking and say, okay, there is obviously a God.
Whatever quality you wish to imbue upon yourself, you need to have a conception of it inside your mind in order that it can be brought forth.
Do you ever think about existence, though? Like the nature of reality? Like why things are the way that they are?
That there's a higher being?
No, just in general. Like why is everything the way that it is?
Nope. You do?
Yeah.
I think that coming into faith, it's a funny thing, right? You have kids, you get more down with God. I'll tell you a quick story on, I think this stuff should be, it's like personal. I never want to hear about your sex, your sobriety, or your faith. It's your personal thing. Get it the fuck out. It's none of my business and none of your business, so it's there. It's just Jesus is Lord. Now, I was raised Catholic, made my first communion, kind of quit after that, became a wild man, gave up on a lot of things up that. Didn't really think about it much. Smoked a shitload of weed, didn't really care about it, didn't really think about it. About two and a half, 3 years ago, mishandled my funds, said, God damn it, I think I fucked up.
Well, we've all been there. It's okay.
Yep. Mishandled my funds to a way where I said, I'm better than that. How the hell did you not see this coming? Put my hands to the God and said, I need some fucking help. That next day, a dove landed on the hood of my truck. I live in the middle of nowhere, okay? I live a mile off the road, way back. The same bird that's in Ace Ventura 1. It's an albino pigeon. I went to Catholic school only because my father worked there and I got to go for free. My father was the janitor there. I got to go for free. I went to LaSalle Academy, which is a nice school. My brother and I both got to go for free, and didn't really pay attention to any of the teachings and whatnot. Kind of just went through the rudiments there. Anyway, give up on that. Have a kid. Play my cards wrong. Fucked myself. Jammed myself pretty bad. Dove lands on the hood of my car. I'm pretty down and out. I'm not gonna lie. Broke. Pretty fucked up. Not really doing anything too wrong. Just kind of too broke to drink too much, to be honest with you. Dove lands on my car, then flies on the roof of this barn. I basically went broke because of this barn. That's what it was. And then 2 days later, we got $1 million for the show.
I got cooked by that Christian guy on the. It was when you came over my house. We did a podcast at my house.
Yeah.
And you were asking me about like God like 3 years ago, and he just fucking destroyed me as like a fucking frat idiot. And I was like, I don't even think about God. I don't even know what you're talking about. And I had to like address it. I was like, this guy just fucking burned me. I was like, I'll take it. It's cool. I sounded like a fucking retard.
Oh, on Scuffed?
On Scuffed, I had to do it last night. And I was like, look, this guy burned, like 3 days ago, we got a video. It's not a huge page, but it's got some traction. And you were asking me about God, about like Jesus Christ existence. And I was like, nah, I don't even think about that.
Yeah,
I'm busy. I sell cars.
He thinks about you. He sent you that dove. I think we're on the right path.
Yeah. Just acknowledgement of Jesus Christ and whatnot. But
I think that God did manifest in human form and like send his son to die for our sins. I think that that's like the story in the Old Testament where he tells Abraham to go kill his son, and then he tells him he doesn't have to when he gets there. I think it's because God was showing us that he's willing to do what it does not make us do for him.
It's easy to struggle. It's easy to struggle with thoughts in your mind that you have to conceive, then achieve.
This was before I was like a real believer, but it brought me closer was, Sam Harris. I was watching a video of Sam Harris talking. Of course, he wouldn't allow for the possibility of God being real. He wouldn't even allow for the possibility of it to be real, even if there were evidence that were shown to him. If he had seen evidence, what he would allow for the possibility of is that we live in a simulation with a God that's programmed into it. Yeah. Learning what, not a person that's questioning or a person that's trying to figure stuff out, but what real atheists are. Part of what they're doing is they're revolting against hierarchy because they know that they are so ugly inside and that they belong at the bottom of the hierarchy and there's no way up for them. And so part of what they wanted, and this is a lot of like political and cultural labels that people apply to themselves. A lot of it is about just finding the shortest route to reversing the hierarchy so that they, in their shittiness, can be on top. I don't think that's what Sam Harris is about. If I had to guess, I would believe that Sam Harris believes in demons and probably worships them. The idea of the mid-curve meme, where you've got the wise scholar on one end and the dumbass on the other end, it's kind of crazy how stupid people are like protected by superstition and whatever else. Like they're divinely protected almost in a sense. Yes, poor people, they're domestic abusers and they're alcoholics and all this other shit, but to some extent they are protected like divinely. And it's through no work that they did or like thoughts that they had. And then the people that are like 130 IQ, self-driving cars, okay? Every time you hear about self-driving cars, it's only going to be 5 years until we have a self-driving car. And part of it is that you just don't understand the complexity of a problem. And this is driving. Is driving a complex task? They let people with 65 IQs drive cars, right? In 2002, they had video games with full traffic rules, cops that pull you over, cars that don't bump into each other, realistic pedestrians. If there was an actual self-driving car where you didn't have to like hold the steering wheel like this, ready for it to whip into a pedestrian, I would go buy one. I'm tired of driving. Right. And it's like, it would flatten like taxi industry, Uber, like it would amass so much value, it would become a $10 trillion company in a week. So it's a grand prize problem and it's yet to be solved. It's always 5 years off. And it's because this seemingly simple problem, you don't understand the complexity of it until you're in it trying to make it work.
A lot of fucking dissatisfied people have the fantasy of the framework around them falling down so that they can reinvent themselves or become something else. Like I work a 9-to-5 day job, but if all this shit went to zero tomorrow, I'd be out there in my dune buggy with my dog getting gasoline. I'd be the hero of the wasteland.
The biggest misconception that people live by is that feelings create thoughts. It's the other way around. If you live by your feelings, you may as well be dead.
You have to overwrite. But there's also the resistance from the subconscious, which is female and needs to be told what to do. Big surprise. Most people allow the subconscious to bubble up all their tortures and destroy their conscious mind and derail their life. Sound familiar?
Keep the thoughts and the thinking high, outside of fear. Don't stay in there. You do that and you're in hell.
You know, all this stuff kind of happened at once and it's all kind of been an upswing. And yeah, of course, I owe everything in my life to Jesus Christ.
The gulf between the first 95% of figuring out what reality is and that last 4.5%, and then the last 0.5% is like beyond the scope of my comprehension. I know the thought process of a 130 IQ atheist thinking, I understand the universe. It's all atoms and bits, and all information can be encoded in megabits. That's not it. It's something extremely way more grand and mystifying than that, man.
I feel like even atheists believe in God. I think that when you really push, even in the language that they use, I think everybody acts as though we talk about people people, we are talking about their souls. We are talking about there's a person inside, so to speak. There's a persona.
It's not just matter. It's not just physical matter.
Right.
Because then it wouldn't matter if you're putting it in a meat grinder. Like, who gives a fuck? It is.
Right. Yeah, you're just rearranging the atoms.
You're just finding You're finding.
He's still there.
Yeah. We rearranged all these Dominican people's atoms.
Well, and even just the language about design. How could you explain the function of DNA without the language of design? You say the DNA is the blueprint. Well, who's writing the blueprint? That spontaneously came together. And then you get into things like evolution. It's like, I have a buddy who's a super creationist Catholic, and he likes to say atheists believe we came from rocks. Rocks turn into people, which is literally true. They say that rocks turn into the primordial stew, which turned into, part of a cell, into a fish, a lizard, a dinosaur, a monkey, a person.
Well, here's the thing. I'm willing to go there, though. The question there is, if you believe in evolution, is it still doesn't get rid of the question, which is like this process that happens, even if it just happens. I don't have the language to explain how mystifying this is, but it's like a person who seeks to explain everything physically through evolution, and there's no God. There's this like black hole that's like, why? You don't solve the problem by believing in evolution, like the problem that you're trying to solve, which is the grand mystery of existence. You don't solve it by saying that it turns into this. It could hypothetically be completely real that's the case. It doesn't answer your question, though, the reason you started looking into it in the first place. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know.
I think it only works backwards like that. Only looking backwards could that make sense.
Take a person with 135 or 140 IQ, get them to spend a lifetime studying something and thinking about something, and they'll understand, like, more or less hypothetically how the Big Bang happened or whatever. But even then, you've got people that have conflicting ideas of what could have possibly happened during the Big Bang. But you can have somebody who like understands atoms and electricity and electrons and how smaller particles work, and who understands how subatomic particles and quantum particles work. But I think that once you have that level of understanding of something, or once you like actually understand how evolution works, it's tempting at that point to think that the last 10% or the last 5% of what knowledge there appears to be is in your grasp.
Well, what would propel evolution forward?
I got stopped there because I had a vision of the guys in the submarine that died. I just think, we're talking about evolution. I just imagined like the Pakistani billionaire and his son just being crunched in that fucking submarine.
Any professor, any scientist, any mathematician who says he's an atheist, this is probably why they are the way that they are, is because they have grasped so much and contemplated so much of the nature of reality, and they've gotten so far. They've gotten like 90% of the way there. They're driving down the road with lane keep assist, but oops, there's a pedestrian there. They can't identify it. They're 90 or 95% of the way there. They think that they can get that last 5% and make it all make sense without admitting that there's or even allowing for the possibility that there are things beyond our understanding about why things are the way that they are.